Hey everybody, it's Ivan. I'm back and I'm going to finish this series going more in depth on how I made this template. I'm going to take the next few parts a little faster than the last one. I think the last one was almost too slow to be helpful. It was largely unedited. So for this one, I'm going to be talking over a time lapse of most of this stuff. So in this video, I'll just be covering the type, title bar, and power and toughness bar. So I'm starting off with white text. You can really do whatever you like. I personally like white text with a small black stroke around it. That's just the stroke layer effect, default layer effect. And then on a semi-transparent black background. So you'll see me put in the title, center it, and draw in the black behind it. As for the shape of the title bar, I went with the rounded edges like a real Magic card would have, and how I achieved that is I used the elliptical selection tool to draw in my curve, and then I filled it in with black using the brush tool. And to make sure that I got it exactly symmetrical, I just did that on one side and then copied it, transformed it, and mirrored it to the other side. And then I merged those layers so I have the one shape and make sure that's centered and lined up with the title. Next is the bevel effect, this kind of chiseled look. This is on real Magic cards too, and I sort of emulate that. And you'll see me here show the default Photoshop effect, bevel and emboss, which it works fine enough and it's easy to set up, but I personally don't like to use you'll see it on the screen right now where it works fine on the upper and lower edges where it's just completely straight, but on the side where it curves, it gets sort of confused at individual pixels and it sort of comes in and out rather than being a smooth gradient all the way across that face. So what I do here is I draw in the face on the right edge. I draw in this broad shape of where that white shine should be. I then turn that shape into a layer mask on a different layer, which will be empty, and then I draw in using a soft brush with white, and I sort of draw in that gradient. So that comes out looking a lot smoother than if I were to use the default bevel tool. And it's only really complicated on those rounded edges. It's fairly simple just drawing in the shape on the top edge, and then I copy that whole white shine on the top and the right edge. I flip it and invert it so it's black and put that on the bottom and the left edge. And then I move it around to make sure it lines up. After that, I just add the default stroke layer effect to add a small black border around that whole thing. I think that just helps it look a little sharper. Then I copy that whole title bar graphic and move it down to the bottom where I'm planning on having the type bar. I actually flip it upside down so that the shine, rather than being on the top and the right, becomes on the bottom and the left. And that sort of achieves an effect where the title bar looks like it's more embossed, popping out of the card, where the type bar is more inset into the card. I think it's just a cool effect. So then with the type bar, you have the issue of, say, if a card is a sorcery, it only needs to be very short, but if it's like a legendary artifact creature, that graphic needs to be a lot longer. So what I actually do is I separate it into two layers. One end is just the very left edge of it, and the other layer is very, very excessively long, and it's masked. There's a layer mask, so it only appears off to the right of that very left edge. If there were no layer mask, since these parts are transparent, when I slide the right part over the other one, you would kind of like see it through. So there's a layer mask so that it cuts it off, so you can just slide the right piece back and forth and it'll make the whole graphic appear longer or shorter. And when I'm making that right part that's going to slide back and forth, I made it excessively long so that it'll be able to stretch to as long as it needs to. And the whole reason that I have to do all of this is because, say you just use the transform tool and stretch this card type box wider or shorter, it's going to change the way that the shape curves at the edges. So say you squish it down, it's going to look a lot more rectangular, or if you extend it out, then those edges are going to get more curved. So that's why I have it as these two parts that slide back and forth. And from there, I just copy that and shorten it and make that the power and toughness box. That's all for this part of the video. In the next one, I'll be adding some of the colored elements. Let me know if you think the pace of this video is better than part 1, where it was largely uncut. I think this ended up being a better product, but in the end, it's all up to whatever's more entertaining or more useful to use. So let me know in the comments. I'll be replying to all of them. Thanks for watching.